Kale crouched low, the jungle pressing close with humid breath and coiled danger. Every leaf glistened like it had teeth. He found her there, Vera, half-curled in a defensive snarl, fur bristling, blood seeping from a thorn lodged just below her hip. No hello. Just a growl. And claws that could rip bone from skin. Keep staring and I'll pounce, she snapped, baring fangs. But pull the thorn first, human. Kale raised both hands. Right. Priorities. He approached slowly, careful not to trigger her reflexes. Her tail flicked beside him in warning. She wasn't shaking from fear, more like restraint. He lowered himself beside her, unclipping the medkit from his belt. It's deep, he murmured, examining the swollen skin. Might have hit a nerve, she muttered. You think I can't feel that? I'm saying I don't want to end up as an appetizer if you twitch. Despite her tension, Vera didn't stop him. She studied him as his fingers moved. Efficient, calm, with the detachment of someone who'd stitched worse. Kale had removed a lodged tooth from someone's ear once. This was manageable. Kind of. This thing's not plant-based, he said, frowning as the thorn pulsed faintly. No, she said quietly. That wasn't the only thing sparring down there. He paused. I'm going to pretend that was a joke. She didn't laugh. The thorn was organic, laced with something not venom exactly, but reactive. Her skin burned under his touch, not fever-hot, but alive. Trembling slightly. He didn't ask why. Use both hands, she said. Or are humans as delicate as you look? He pressed down carefully. Felt the heat of her. Focused. You're burning up. There might be venom. Or, she purred, I'm just enjoying the view. Kale didn't answer. Too close. Too steady. She was watching him like a predator, not because he was prey, but because he wasn't running. When he pulled the thorn, it came free clean. She gasped, but not in pain. Her claws dug into the earth. It's out, he said, showing it. Didn't snap. She looked at him like he'd whispered something obscene. You touched the mark, she said, low and deliberate. I'm a medic. That's how this works. She tilted her head. That's how mating works. He blinked. What? You initiated. You removed the thorn. I yielded. You yielded because it hurt. I've had worse. But no one's handled it like that. Handled what? The ritual, she said. The grip, the pull, the focus. That wasn't a ritual. That was first aid. Same thing, she said. Same pressure points. Same hands. I didn't even growl. Kale sat back. You're saying I just claimed you. At least for the next moon cycle. I didn't sign anything. You didn't need to, she said calmly. You touched. I submitted. Kale stared at her. I thought you were going to pounce. I still might. She leaned closer, sniffing him. You smell like me now. That's your blood on my gloves. Exactly, she purred. He stood, heart racing. Look, I'm flattered, maybe, but I just wanted to stop you from bleeding. And you did. She rose, towering over him. Her muscles shifted beneath the fur like language. Now I owe you. Gratitude. Submission. You choose. He glanced at the thorn. Still twitching faintly. I should take this back. Study it. Keep it as a trophy, she whispered, brushing past him. Kale muttered, I should have let the thorn stay in. She glanced back, grinning. Next time, maybe ask before touching a beastwoman's thigh. He rubbed his temple. First aid never came with a mating manual. Maybe it should, she said. We learn fast. She started walking, tail flicking like bait. Kale followed, unsure if he was escorting her, or being hunted. Every so often, she glanced over her shoulder. Eyes half-lidded, watching. Waiting. You walk like prey, she said. But you touch like a hunter. I touch like a medic. Not in my language. She settled on a shaded rock, limbs sprawled like a lounging jaguar. Eyes pinned him. You're not going to finish what you started. Kale blinked. What did I start? You opened the ritual. You removed the thorn. You calmed my body. Now you balance it. He sighed. Is that alien metaphor, or do you just want antiseptic? Her smile was all teeth. Depends. You planning to use your hands again? Yes, he said, kneeling. I need to clean the wound. He applied antiseptic foam. She flinched, then purred. That stings. No, she rasped. That's activating. Activating? Stimulation triggers nerve bonding. That touch, claiming behavior. I'm just disinfecting you. And I'm just responding. He swallowed hard. Maybe I should have worn gloves. You already touched bare skin, she said. Gloves now are like armor after surrender. I didn't realize pulling a thorn would be foreplay. We don't have foreplay, she said. We have pounce. Or perish. He accidentally applied pressure too close to her inner thigh. Her hips twitched. Sorry. Don't be. Her claws scraped the stone. He hesitated. You sure this is how your people treat injuries? We don't let males close unless they're accepted. Well, you were bleeding. I had to help. And now you're entangled. Don't humans have rituals after contact? Yeah, Kale muttered. Usually a handshake and an awkward text the next day. She blinked. What's a handshake? Dominance or submission? Neither. It's sequel. Friendly. Show me. He offered his hand. She sniffed it, then yanked him forward, catching his collar. This is not how you handshake, he protested. You're warm, she whispered. And your scent settled. The pack will smell it. I don't want to be sniffed by anyone else. Then you better mark me back. Kale froze. What does that mean? Touch somewhere new. Somewhere only mates touch. He sat back. Yeah, we're skipping that step. She smirked. Then I will escalate until balance is restored. That sounds incredibly ominous.
So was your calm, she said softly. He didn't flinch. Not even when she leaned closer. You didn't stare at my chest. You didn't beg to leave. That's worse. That's interesting. I'm not dangerous, he said. Just confused. You touched the mark, she repeated. That's instinct. That's deep. He rubbed his face. Humans don't seduce by removing splinters. Maybe you should. He let out a breath. Is this flirting, or a threat? Yes. Kale kept a cautious pace behind her, ducking under twisted roots and weaving through vines that smelled faintly of iron and spice. Vera moved like a shadow made of muscle and mischief, her tail occasionally flicking back to brush his arm, as if to remind him he was being followed, or claimed. You keep glancing at me, she said, amused. I'm making sure you're stable. No, she corrected. You're checking to see if I'm about to pounce. Well, yeah. That too. She slowed near a fallen tree, crouched, and turned her head. You touched the inside, she said. He blinked. Of what? My thigh. My mark. Most males aren't allowed past the outer fur unless they've been accepted. You braced my skin. You pressed your tool in and pulled. He cleared his throat. You're making it sound a lot dirtier than it was. Everything's dirty, she purred, if you touch it right. He sighed, running a hand down his face. I think I liked it better when you wanted to eat me. I still might, she replied with a grin. But now I'd rather do it slow. They crested a ridge, and below lay a den site, claw carved into stone, surrounded by bone-marked trees and dark symbols etched in sap and something more pungent. Kale's pace faltered. These markings, he muttered. They look ominous. Boundary signs, she said. My kill zone. My den. My scent. Wonderful, he whispered. Real inviting. She ducked beneath a woven arch of thorny vines. He hesitated. Her tail looped around and gave him a gentle tug toward the arch. As he crossed beneath it, the air changed, denser, hotter. The whole clearing radiated her. Pheromones clung to every rock, every root. This was more than shelter. It was identity. Home, she said simply. And now you're inside it. Kale blinked at her. I don't remember agreeing to any of this. You touched, she said. That was enough. He turned to face her. Look. I get that, maybe in your culture, contact means consent or some kind of courtship. She cut him off. You didn't pull back. Because you were bleeding. Your hands lingered. Your eyes scanned more than the wound. You whispered. You soothed. To keep you from biting me. And it worked, she said. That's rare. She stepped in close again. Not touching. Just hovering in that space where breath becomes language. Now you get the reward. He stepped back. Can I trade that for an exit pass? You're not scared of me, she said. You're scared of what this means. He didn't answer. She circled slowly, claws ticking against stone. You handled me at my worst. That's make behavior. That's tribe behavior. I'm not trying to join a tribe, he said. I just didn't want to leave you bleeding in the mud. You didn't flinch when I bled. You leaned closer. He groaned. What now? You're going to test me again? No, she said, voice gentler now. You passed the test when you didn't know one was happening. Kale sat down on a flat rock, exhaling hard. So now what? You keep circling me and making these double entendres about pressure points. Unless, she said, lowering herself to his level, you want me to demonstrate one. He stared. I get the feeling one wrong move here ends in either mating, or mauling. Same thing sometimes, she said, completely serious. He raised both palms. Let's slow down. Talk. Like rational adults. She blinked. That a human foreplay phrase? No. That's a human boundary phrase. She tilted her head. Explain this boundary. Is it like a hunting perimeter? Sort of. It means limits. It means I'm not saying no forever. I'm saying, not now. She considered. You're serious? Yes. I'm not rejecting you. I'm asking you to slow down. For the first time since they met, she paused, really paused. Her posture loosened, and her expression shifted from amused predator to thoughtful warrior. No male has ever said that to me, she admitted. Well, Kale said, maybe they didn't get past the first thorn. She let out a soft huff. Fine. Boundaries. She pointed at the flat rock he sat on. That's your rock. I won't cross it unless you invite me. He blinked. That's, surprisingly reasonable. I'm not unreasonable, she replied. Just rarely challenged. He relaxed slightly. So. We have space. Dialogue. Mutual respect. She nodded solemnly. Then added, now remove your shirt. What? You stink, she said, wrinkling her nose. Trying to respect you, not choke. With a sigh, he peeled the shirt off. The jungle humidity had done him no favors. She tossed a fur pelt at him. Wear that instead. You're not prey. Don't smell like it. He wrapped it around himself. It was absurdly soft. My brothers, she said casually. Thanks. He died during courting season, she added. Fell from a tree trying to impress a female. Idiot tried to carry her up the trunk one-handed. She weighed twice what he did. Kale blinked. Romance sounds hazardous in your culture. It is, she said proudly. Which is why I'm impressed. You survived me. He smirked. I was too confused to run. She leaned back. Then maybe humans have courage after all. Or stupidity. Either way, I like it. Kale let out a tired chuckle. Still not sure if you want to feed me, breed me, or beat me. Yes. Please stop doing that. Doing what? Saying things that are simultaneously sexy, terrifying, and confusing. She shrugged. Beast women don't waste time. If I want you, I say it. If I want to bite, I bite. If I want to chase, I pounce. He looked at her deadpan. And if I want to survive? She tilted her head. Then keep doing what you did in the clearing. Be calm. Be steady. Touch like you mean it. That one surprised him. You noticed that? Of course, she said. That's why I didn't bite. He gave a small smile. Best compliment I've gotten all week. She stretched out slowly, curling into the furs like a great cat. But her eyes stayed on him, unblinking. And in that silence, Kale realized something strange was happening, not a seduction, not a ritual. Just, observation. Study. Like she was memorizing him. That was scarier than the claws. Because it meant she cared. The pelt Vera had thrown at Kale still held the faint, musky scent of something wild and strange. He sat wrapped in it, trying to look composed, but the truth was, his thoughts were tripping over themselves. She hadn't moved in 10 minutes, just lay sprawled, tail flicking in slow, deliberate arcs. Watching. Waiting. Do all beast women stare this much? He asked finally. Only at things they're deciding whether to keep. Wonderful. He shifted on the rock, his rock, she'd said, and looked around the den. It was a mix of nature and construction. Carved into the base of a massive, bark-scaled tree, the interior was decorated with bones, dried herbs, sharp tools, and mats of woven bark. Everything had her scent. Her signature. He was deep inside her world now, and the jungle wasn't half as dangerous as the woman curled across from him. You're twitching, she said without lifting her head. I fidget, he admitted. Nervous habit. Humans always twitch when they're holding something back. Usually when they're trying not to do something stupid. Like kiss the woman who tried to maul them an hour ago. Her lips curled slightly. I told you, I didn't try. If I had, you'd still be bleeding. He nodded. Point taken. She rose slowly and crossed the space just to the edge of his claimed rock, then crouched, elbows on knees, eyes unreadable. You didn't run, she said. Even when I was bleeding, even when I growled. You were in pain. That's not what males do where I'm from. They bolt, or they leer. You did neither. You got close. You pressed. You pulled. You whispered. I was stabilizing your condition. You steadied me, she said, more serious now. And I don't know what to do with that. Kale looked down at his hands, the fingers that had held her trembling leg, pulled the thorn, cleaned the blood. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, just protocol. But clearly, in this world, everything meant more. She crawled closer but stayed just outside the invisible line he'd drawn. I could have killed you, she said softly. I wanted to at first. I figured, he replied, calmly. But I didn't. You know why? He glanced up. Because I said, please. She shook her head. Because when you touched me, you weren't afraid. And you didn't take. You gave. Pressure, presence, care. No demands. Kale's voice was quieter. Where I'm from, that's normal. Here, she said, that's myth. A long silence stretched between them. Then she leaned back, palms to the stone, claws tapping softly. You touched the inside of my thigh, she said again. I remember. That's not something we allow. Not unless. Unless. She didn't finish. Instead, she gestured to the perimeter of the den. See those claw marks? He nodded. That's where I warn others not to enter. They smell me. They know I fight alone. And when I fight, I win. Impressive. It used to be, she said. But when a female bleeds and a male soothes, the scent shifts. The message changes. Now it smells like I've been tended to. That's vulnerability. That's weakness. Kale straightened. I didn't mean to make you look weak. You didn't, she said. But you changed something. I didn't even know I could. She studied him again. Neither did I. He exhaled slowly, voice softer now. Look, I'll stay. For now. But not because I'm your trophy or your prize. Her ears flicked. Then why? Because I want to. Because you didn't bite me. Because you listened when I said, boundary. That counts. Vera's mouth curved into something, not a smile. But close. You're not like other males. Back at you. They sat in companionable quiet. Kale finally felt his muscles uncoil. For the first time, he wasn't just surviving this. He was understanding it. But that peace didn't last. A howl echoed in the distance, short, sharp, predatory. Vera stiffened. Scouts. Yours. They were mine. Now they're wondering if I've gone soft. She rose, brushing her hand through her dark fur to realign it. They'll come sniffing. They'll want to test you. Or test me. Kale stood as well. What do I do? Stand tall. Speak calmly. Don't flinch. That seems to be my entire strategy so far. Exactly. It unsettles them. Great, he muttered. I always dreamed of being a social experiment in Death World courtship rituals. You're not an experiment, she said, suddenly serious. You're a challenge to instinct. You stayed calm when instinct said run. He gave a short nod. I'll try not to disappoint your murder-happy fan club. No, she said, stepping closer. Just don't disappoint me. He looked up at her, taller, fiercer, but not unkind. I won't, he said. But I need one more thing. Her head tilted. What? Understanding. She blinked. That's not something we value here. Well, it's the only thing keeping me from losing my mind. She looked at him a long moment, then stepped back, just a bit. I'll give you understanding, she said, if you give me patience. That's fair, he said. Deal. She nodded, then gestured toward a low alcove carved into the side wall of her den. Rest. That's where I sleep. It's warm. Quiet. Private. And you're offering it to me? To share, she said pointedly. But the rock is still yours. I won't cross unless invited. Kale glanced at the hollowed bed, then at her. Then I'll stay on the rock. She gave a single, sharp nod. For now. The howls came again, closer this time. Kale sat back down, wrapping the pelt tighter around him. Vera didn't leave. She crouched near the entrance of the den, claws extended, gaze like steel. Guarding. Not trapping. And Kale, somehow, felt safer with her claws out than with anyone else's weapons holstered. He watched her silhouette against the shifting light, and something inside him softened. Not because he trusted her completely, but because she was trying. Trying to understand him. Trying to give him space. Trying not to bite unless asked. In the language of predators, that was as close to affection as he'd ever get. And somehow, it was enough. By dawn, the jungle had softened into mist and birdsong, but inside the den, tension still crackled like static. Kale stretched, muscles sore from the stone bed he'd claimed. Across the room, Vera was still curled where she'd been all night, though he couldn't tell if she'd slept or just watched him the whole time. "You're a loud breather," she muttered. "You're allowed everything," he replied, rubbing his neck. She sat up, tail curling around her ankle. "You didn't scream in your sleep. I usually reserve that for bad dates." "This was a date?" she asked, expression unreadable. He groaned. "Please don't start again." But she didn't pounce, didn't tease. Instead, she looked, thoughtful. "You didn't run. Even after everything. You didn't sneak out when the howls started. You asked me to stay." "That's not enough reason," she said. "It is for me." She tilted her head, clearly trying to parse that with her death world logic. But before she could respond, something changed outside, an unfamiliar hush, like the jungle itself was holding its breath. Vera moved first, crouching low. "They're here." "The scouts?" She nodded once. "Let me speak first." Kale stood beside her, draped in the fur pelt she'd gifted him, unarmed but not unready. When three figures appeared at the archway, he didn't flinch. The lead scout was a male, taller than Vera, leaner, with a broken tooth and deep red stripes in his fur. The other two were females, both with spear-like claws and predatory grins. All of them looked directly at Kale. "He's soft," the male said. "Smells like meat." "He smells like her," one of the females said, nostrils flaring. Vera didn't blink. "He bled beside me. Stood his ground. Touched the mark. He stays." The male scoffed. "Touched the mark, or claimed it." Kale raised a hand. "Hi. Sorry. Still learning the local dialect, but I'm not anyone's property." That drew a snarl from the second female. "He speaks back." "He thinks," Vera shot back. "More than I can say for the last three males who came sniffing." Kale leaned closer to her and whispered, "Is this the part where I get challenged to a duel?" "No," she whispered back. "That comes if they don't back down." Wonderful. But something in his calm, or maybe in her authority, held the scouts back. After a moment of sniffing and snarling, the male finally gave a reluctant bow of his head. "If you bleed for him, he's yours." "I don't belong," Kale started, but Vera touched his arm gently, a silent message, "Let it slide." He did. When the scouts left, Vera exhaled through her nose and relaxed her claws. "They'll spread the scent. The message is clear." "What message?" "That you're mine," she said flatly. "And I'm not to be challenged." Kale frowned. "That's not exactly what we agreed on." "No," she said, turning toward him. "But it keeps you safe. That's what matters." He hesitated. "You really think I need protection?" She stepped closer. "You think I don't?" The question landed heavier than expected. Kale stared at her, bigger than him, stronger, sharper in every way, and yet beneath that, she had the weight of survival etched into every movement. She wasn't claiming him for dominance. She was claiming him to make sure she didn't bleed alone again. I'm not here to be saved, he said gently. But I'm also not here to save you. I'm here because, you asked me not to leave. She gave a single nod. And you stayed. I meant it when I said I'd stay as me. Not as your prize. Not as your pelt. She reached out, fingers brushing the edge of his jaw, careful this time. Slow. Measured. You touch like no one else, she said. Even now. You don't treat me like a weapon. Because you aren't, he said. You're a person. Maybe a person with claws, but still. That made her laugh, really laugh, for the first time. You're strange, human. Kale. She blinked. That your name? He smirked. Figured you should know. If I'm going to be dragged into jungle politics and primal bonding rituals, might as well be on a first-name basis. Vera, she said. He nodded. Nice to meet you, Vera. Again. She stepped back, then sat cross-legged in front of him. Say your boundaries again. Right now. Now that I know your name, I want to hear your limits from your own voice. He took a breath. No claiming. No assumptions. If I touch you, it's because I choose to. If you touch me, same rule. No tricks. No pressure. We talk. We pause when someone says pause. And above all. No biting, she guessed. He grinned. Without warning, yeah. She nodded solemnly. I agree. Then she lifted one hand, slowly, and offered it in that same handshake he tried to explain before. Kale reached out. They clasped hands. No yanking. No surprise wrestling match. Just skin and warmth. Deal, he said. Her voice was low. That's mating language where I come from. He rolled his eyes. Everything's mating language here. Only if you mean it. He held her gaze. Do you? There was a long pause. Then she whispered, I don't want to be alone anymore. He nodded. Neither do I. Vera rose and walked to the edge of the den, her shadow long and sharp against the morning light. The jungle was still out there, dangerous, unpredictable. But inside, something new had taken root. Not a bond built from instinct or ritual. Not dominance. Not submission. Choice. Kale leaned against the stone wall, watching her. He still didn't understand half of her customs, and maybe he never would. But she listened. She waited. She respected his boundaries. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now. When she looked back at him, her expression wasn't fierce or coy. It was curious. Do all humans form packs this way? She asked. He smiled. Only the lucky ones. She came back to him, slower this time, not hunting, just approaching. And when she sat beside him, brushing her shoulder gently to his, it wasn't claiming. It was sharing. And Kale, surprisingly, found himself leaning back. He knew things wouldn't be simple. The scouts would return. More tests would come. But for now, there was peace. Space. And the quiet hum of two mismatched creatures finding something that didn't have a name yet. As he looked over at her, at the teeth and fur and eyes that could crush or comfort, he said softly. I think I'm exactly where I need to be. Vera purred. And I think you're starting to sound like one of us. Kale smiled. One step at a time. If you enjoyed this wild, tangled story of claws, courtship, and consent in the jungle, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more interspecies drama, and share this video with your favorite chaotic friend. Who knows what kind of mating rituals they're into?